Thanks so much for having me tonight. Tonight I really just want to give you a bit of a, I want to rile you up a little bit. I want to get you excited and a little bit curious about the tools that we've got in our industry. And yeah, so tonight we're going to be doing a comprehensive overview of AI and what that means for the filmmaking industry. This is hopefully going to inspire you and equip you, because as one sage once said, the times they are changing, and they're changing very fast. Basically, the industry is always shifting and moving, especially with AI, but when it comes to film, I think we're going to see massive changes a lot earlier than the predictions a year ago were made. So if I do sound like Charlie tonight, just come up to me later and you can tell me to just settle down a bit, but it's exciting stuff, so I'll take you through it. A bit about me, I launched a company at the start of the year called Sunny Coast AI. I have done filmmaking around the world the past couple of years, helping companies grow their businesses, primarily commercial filmmaking. And I saw the tools and I was just very aware that things were going to change. So I started this to help businesses. I'm 28 years old, I love adventure, I'm an entrepreneur, I love helping people with their businesses or starting new ones, and I like to surf. Just a quick rundown tonight of what I'm going to take you through. So if you start getting bored, just remember there's a few more things still to come, and if you need to leave, you can. This PDF will be available for you guys to download afterwards as well. So we're going to go through just a quick introduction of the night. I'll run you through a short film I've made specifically for this event. We'll go through the history of tech and creative industries, AI use cases, how can you start getting your hands dirty with some of these tools, the tools themselves. There are so many tools out there, so sometimes wondering where to start can be a real challenge, but we'll go through a few. The future trends, just what I see and a few other people I've spoken to can see coming for the industry, and then at the end we'll do a Q&A, so feel free to ask me anything. So first and foremost, where are we at? His role in the creative sector is undeniably significant, and it's definitely going to change our world. The main thing though that I really want to focus on tonight is how can we leverage this to enhance our imagination. Creativity is the main thing that's going to separate us from machines at the end of the day. Right now, they still can't do much more than do what we've told them to do. Like right now, he's just showing me up. No, he hasn't done that all day, so he's getting a bit sassy. But yeah, so basically the goal tonight is to empower you guys. Like, I feel really empowered as a filmmaker with these tools, but with the Hollywood strike that just happened, like with the whole way our industry is going to change and a lot of others, it's important to feel empowered by the tools. So tonight we'll dive into some of those opportunities and the vast potential. This topic can be overwhelming with how many tools are being released and at the pace of which these things are coming out. Every other week there's a new tool that I'm finding. Part of my job is really staying on top of this stuff, and it can get pretty overwhelming, because when you see so many tools coming out, you think, what's the point? How do I even use this stuff? Is this even the right tool for the job? So I really want to simplify that for you tonight, and just sharing me and Jackson, my business partner up the back of the room, just our mindset with how we're approaching these tools and how we together can harness this stuff and take advantage of this unique time in history. Like when the internet came out, that's what we're looking at right now. And there were so many huge changes to the industry and so many new filmmakers were born. We're luckily able to reap the fruits of that 20 years down the road, 20, 30 years down the road. Along with touching on some of the ethical stuff that goes along with these tools, because as mentioned, jobs will get changed, people will get replaced, but it's not going to become something that no one's going to have any work. It's just these roles are going to evolve. Beyond just enhancing our efficiency, let's also see how the innovation will unlock deeper facets of our creativity and serve as a catalyst for inspiring ourselves and others. Like, I like to think that someone in Nigeria now can make a whole film on their own with a Sony camera and a few other bits and bobs, whereas 10 years ago, no one who had a dream in those small communities could do that, and technology's allowed them to do that. So with what we can do in our own lives and our own pieces of work, we can inspire others in the community to do the same. So technology and culture. Does anyone know what the oldest form of communication is? Any guesses? My man. Close. Couple of centuries, maybe a few ahead. Sign language, that's not the oldest. Smoke, that's pretty good. So the oldest form of communication from what I've seen is storytelling. And that started way back in the day. Don't eat the berries that are located here, or eat the berries that are located here, telling stories through indigenous cultures to try and translate information, right? And storytelling changes our culture. And when new technologies come in, whether it's the pen or the printing press, these stories start to evolve, right? These stories start to change. And so tonight, I really want to focus on, let's just keep that in our minds. Like, how is technology impacting our culture, impacting our story as people today, and the stories that you guys all want to tell? I assume all of you are some way in the creative industry, and like, this can help you do things that you couldn't do last year or the year before last. So yeah, this is a really great example, hieroglyphics. These things are still intact so many thousands of years later. And the idea of using rock and paint was a huge game changer for this culture. There's so many other cultures that the Egyptians either took over or absorbed, but their culture still remains today, and we know so much about them through the stories that they told. And yeah, it's incredible. Having said that, if you didn't understand the last slide, you might not be the only one in the room, so that's all good. I'm just going to take you through a quick short film I made. For context, everything you're about to see is not like in any way real. It's all been generated with AI, from the imagery to the languaging to the voiceover. I did put it together, and unfortunately I wasn't able to create the music. I did try pretty hard, but it just wasn't really clicking for the vision that I had for it. But yeah, let's have a watch. Do you mind grabbing the lights, Deidre? Thank you.
When the horse arrived in the Americas, it was a new marvel. But it was one tribe, the Comanche, truly harnessed its potential. Their unparalleled skills on horseback gave them an edge, allowing them to outcompete rival tribes and become the most feared of all Indian nations. Trade flourished, villages prospered, and their dominion grew. Even the mighty Spanish were no match. But beyond conquest and trade, a deeper bond was forged. With the horse, the Comanche didn't just gain power, they found a partner, a beautiful creature that became an inseparable part of their identity. And so the story goes, in the heart of the plains, where beast and man were joined, the legend of the Comanche Nation was born.
Pretty cool, right? That was just maybe 6 hours of my time. And to put that all together, it got me excited, because that story in itself, I read a few years ago when I was living in Texas, and I was just, my imagination went wild just seeing how this technology that this culture adopted changed everything for them. It put them at the top of the food chain. It changed everything, and they nearly took down the US government. They were the last surviving tribe. And with what we're seeing with AI, it is the exact same thing, if not to a greater extent. The level of possibility, what we can create, is insane. And 3 months ago, that wouldn't have even looked that good. Less than a year ago, that wasn't even possible. Jump with me 6 months, 18 months. This stuff is changing so fast. And so to not use it is going to be a disservice to what you're trying to do or trying to make. It was really fun to make as well, because I didn't have to go to the desert to film any of this. And if you have a dream and you don't have a big budget for a plane ticket, there will be a time where you can create these realities, create these characters. It's pretty cool. And at the heart of it, my goal there was to create an emotion in you. And I think that's the same for all of us. Evoking emotion is at the heart of our craft. For me, in the marketing world, people don't buy from the head, they buy from the heart. And if you can create an emotion in someone, positive or negative, at least they're engaging with what you're telling. And that's our goal, right? And as filmmakers, storytellers, creatives, our primary mission is to convey a certain message that deeply resonates. Whether they're in opposition to that message, it's still connection, and drawing a genuine reaction. The essence is not just in sharing what we love, but in presenting it in a way that genuinely captures the viewer's attention, which we all know as well comes down to how well can we think about delivering our story or our message. That's what makes great filmmakers. However, in an evolving digital landscape dominated by AI, with predictions that are pretty accurate that 90% of online content by 2026 will be artificial, the challenge to retain authenticity is going to be probably the biggest thing we face. And now more than ever, we need to embrace just being real. How do we find genuine stories? How do we share things in a genuine way? Call me out if I'm wrong, but I feel like the last video, that was real. It didn't hopefully offend the culture that I was telling the story about, and that it created an emotion for you where you could see my heart for this technology. And through this genuine connection that we create, we can engage with our audience even deeper. Bit of a history lesson, and probably some of these figures might even be on your wall, eh? We've got the printing press, the light bulb, fire, even just those three things. Like when the printing press came out, that changed how everything was going to be told after that. Before that, people had to spend months and years scribing and drawing things out. And if they got one little dash wrong, they ripped it out and started all over again. With the light bulb, you could no longer have to be strained by the dark. At nighttime, you could still do work. Fire, I feel like when I looked at AI for the first time and saw ChatGPT write me a poem, I felt like I was looking at fire. And the list goes on. The internet, steam power, the iPhone, drones, a $20,000 shot on a helicopter back in the 90s. Now I just probably did yesterday on the boat I was on. So technology is going to change our culture and change our stories and our ability to communicate that. Pretty cute dog. The other night I was at a friend's house and they wanted to see a bulldog with a mojito riding a surfboard, and that's what we came up with. In terms of use cases, like I'll let you guys just have a quick read through that. These are just some of the use cases that I've seen or done myself, but the sky really is the limit. Two of my favorites on there is definitely a massive reduction in the budget. Along with that is also just the writer's block. I find it really difficult sometimes if I'm not in an editing flow to deliver, and to even start something can be quite challenging. But once you get the engine turning, and you guys have probably all tried this yourself, it's easy once you've done that little bit of groundwork. Another one which is also really interesting is enhanced communication. So again, in my line of work, I have to write sometimes 5, 10 emails a day. And now there's a plugin I've got on my Google Chrome account where I can just double-click slash, and it'll write back like a pretty damn good response to that person's earlier message. And I don't need to use all my energy being diplomatic and trying to be kind, or I can just tell it, even write me an email saying no, and it'll make it sound beautiful. So that's a huge one. The high quality alternative to stock footage, like what we just saw, probably start seeing a lot more stock footage come out. And if you don't have the shot you need, and you can't find it online, you might be able to even just create it with a prompt. In terms of our history, I'm not going to go through every use case. These are the ones that just captured my imagination. Back in the 90s, there was this program called Aaron, and it was like the original DALL-E in a way. It made its own versions of drawings, and it essentially started to create art. Going though, a couple of decades later, in the 2010s, throughout the whole 2010s, 20th Century Fox actually went to IBM and was like, hey, we've heard you have this program. Can you make us a trailer for this film? Disney has utilized it time and time again. I don't know if you've seen the movie Tron or the new Indiana Jones or a bunch of others, but they de-age actors constantly, and there's other ways that they use AI as well, but that's a huge one. Netflix as well, they use it in the algorithm. That's a hard part of being a creative. Who's looking at my work? Is it just getting lost in the source? Is it getting lost in the feed? Because unless you're at a live event like this, there's no real way of knowing sometimes how much effort it's going to take to get in front of people's faces and share with them what you've got going on. So they use an algorithm, and AI plays a vital role, says the vice president. 2020s, there are one or two more examples, but that one was interesting. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was for a TV show Marvel made, but they basically got the whole intro made with Midjourney, and there was a couple of people threw arms around it, but I didn't think it was too bad. And I've put a question mark there to really put it back on you. We're in the 2020s, it's just starting. What is that gonna look like in the next few years? We might not all be as ambitious to start Disney or Netflix or Amazon, but this is our opportunity to use this stuff, right? So I really encourage you. That question mark is pointed to you, to me, to all of us. Moving on, this is pretty radical. And this is, again, coming back to the main message of tonight. Things are changing fast. If you look at the right here, July 2022, and then we've got June 2023. It's a massive leap in the quality and the lifelike nature of the art itself and what it's possible for. And this is just one visual example of what's going on. ChatGPT is a big one, but also the amount of plugins now that you can have for softwares. I picture a day where you can say, scan this link, you've got a link to, let's say, Pulp Fiction, you've filmed it, you filmed whatever you want, your little scene, plugs into Adobe or DaVinci, and then you just say, I want it to look like this, and then bam, and then you can tweak it to however you want it to look. But that sort of idea would have been impossible with the tech available to us 10 years ago, let alone now, it's already here. So really think about it. Time is moving fast in that realm, faster than it is in our physical realm. And it's very easy to get lost in the day-to-day without dedicating a little bit of time each month or each week to learning and adopting these tools. This one I thought was pretty funny, so I thought I'd just chuck it in. This is a guy who's gone pretty viral on TikTok. You might have seen the video, but this is software that you can download today and use.
It's a little embarrassing. It reminds me, once in Russia, I ran into Gorbachev. He said, "Mr. Movie Star, are you nervous?" I said, "No, Mr. Gorbachev, I'm not nervous." He goes, "Remember how much a polar bear weighs? Enough to break the ice." It's the last time I've ever seen Macau Gorbachev. What's up, TikTok? You guys cool if I play some sports? I love it. More for the audio experience, as much as the momentum. Hey, listen up, sports and TikTok fans.
So like, you could say, for instance, you have Tom Cruise in your budget on your next film. You can just download his lifelike and then deal with the lawsuits later. So the important part is like, where do we start? And this comes down to the overwhelming nature of all this stuff. When we have so much change rapidly handling stuff around us, it becomes pretty difficult. Our nervous system can tend to flux. And I don't know about you, but if I'm feeling overwhelmed, it can be analysis paralysis. You don't really end up doing anything. There's too many options, too many directions. So one good adage I've heard is if you build one brick everywhere, you might wish you'd have a house, but you won't. But if you build one brick consistently, you'll end up with a house. And the direction I would point you guys in, where I've gone down, is just starting to play with the tools. That one brick a day is just starting to play with some of these tools and become familiar with them. I'm not gonna lie, I do feel like this every day. It's definitely a challenge trying to figure out what does work and what doesn't. But when you've cracked the code, you sit back in your chair and you're like, killing it. The tools for creatives that I would recommend right now are this list. Again, this PDF will be available to download. You might be familiar with a few of these. These are definitely more the top level, more well-known ones. They do have a good bit of marketing behind them, but they are, to say the least, a game changer. Runway ML is one of the ones that you can use to animate visual imagery. So everything you're seeing on here was either created with a text prompt or they uploaded an image and then Runway animated it for them. So in reference to the video I showed before about the Comanches, the process there was a text prompt, which then went into a video animator, which then went into a video enhancer where I took the outputted image of, I think it was 720, and I took that up to 8K because I knew it was going to be on the screen. And it's true 8K, you can actually zoom in on it still. Following on from that, I then got ChatGPT to do the narration, then 11 Labs to do the actual voiceover itself, and then mixed it all together. So the layering of these tools is really important to know as well. We've got Gamma. I made this whole presentation, probably using the next one actually, but Gamma is basically a software where you can, let's say we want to generate something. Let's say we'll do a presentation. Any suggestions on topics? I'm hearing crickets, come on.
Riding a tube.
Riding a tube, like in London?
Surf.
Oh, getting barreled, all right, yeah, sweet, I can get down with that. Getting barreled and tubed surfing in Noosa. So it'll give us a little prompt back. Yep, wonderful, let's keep going. Let's choose a layout we like. Maybe this one. Continue. Look at that, found Noosa main beach pictures. This guy's getting a tube. And another 30 seconds, it'll probably wrap up and we'll have a whole PowerPoint ready to go. So just like that, the experience of sitting at the desk with the little blinking little tab. Do you guys remember that icon from the 90s who had like the paperclip on Microsoft Word? And he's just there laughing at you, like, you don't know where to start? This is an alternative to that. You can get the ball rolling. It does a fair bit of the work, but then you can come in and change all of this. You can change the pictures. You can come in here and say, oh yeah, I don't actually like that, I'll find something else. You can generate your own image, or you can just upload one of your own that you've already made. Tome is the same. This whole presentation was made with Tome. It might take me into my accounts, but basically it's the same thing. If you've got a pitch deck and you need to have it done by tomorrow, that's doable now. it won't stress you out for 2 or 3 days trying to get it done potentially. You can put this in, say exactly what you need, and it'll usually spit out something pretty close. So we've got our pitch decks, we've got explaining our themes, then we've got Midjourney. Midjourney, we're probably all familiar with that, but basically it's image generation. So you give it a prompt about what you want to see. For instance, the imagery before of the Native American Indians, like I said, sunset, Native American, connecting with horse, wide angle lens. Like you can give it as much specific input as you want, and that's really where the gold is. What's happening in the background is zeros and ones are matching up to the language you've told it, and it's giving you the most generic and normal thing it can. And so the better you are at prompting, the better your result's gonna become. But yeah, Midjourney is pretty cool. The similar one to that is Leonardo. That's actually what I started off with. Leonardo's a little bit easier, I found. Midjourney does look a little bit complicated, although it is easy once you get into it. But Leonardo's another one you can try, guys. If you're just starting out, you wanna get a flavor for it, it's very easy. Then we've got Luma Labs. Luma Labs is pretty cool. I've been playing with it a little bit recently, and essentially what it does is give you 3D outputs of your environment, which then can be animated into a video, whether it's a music video or a movie, or you can't afford a drone. There you go. The inputs that you give it as well, like you can shift things, but the practicality of the tool is really insane because you can just do it on your phone. You don't need an actual rig or a 3D scanner. Have I still got you? Yep, great. In video is pretty neat. Essentially, this pretty much explains it right here. He just gave it a prompt for what he wanted, a video about sport adventures in surf. And what it'll start to do is piece together stock footage, AI audio, and then it'll make you a whole video immediately. So you could blend this with your pitch deck if you wanted to. If you wanted to match your pitch deck with a visual asset, this will basically create it for you on the spot. Which again, as an editor, that industry will change fast. This is not the end game. That will get better and better. HeyGen's one of my favorite tools because what you can do is get rid of those annoying subtitles or really bad voiced over parts if your movie is going to another country. If you want them speaking French, that face, that mouth will change to be speaking French. The actor will be fluent in that language, and it won't actually be like, and they're talking underneath. Like it'll be totally shifted. So say for instance, we went into 11 Labs, which is a language model. We converted the whole script of the movie into German. We put that through, got the actor with HeyGen, scanned it, put it through, and you can make your whole movie now in German. And so it's pretty wild what that's possible. Finally, Wonder Dynamics. That one is one of the most exciting tools because of the fact that a team of 10, 20 people back in the day, I'll just log out, couldn't have done something like this without a massive budget. Let's see here.
Stories start with a sense of wonder.
Sorry.
What if bringing those stories to life wasn't limited by our resources, but only by our imagination? Welcome to Wonder Studio, where making movies with CGI is as simple as selecting your actor and assigning a character. The system uses AI to track the actor's performance across cuts and automatically animates, lights, and composes the CG character directly into the scene. Whether it's one shot or a full sequence, Wonder Studio analyzes and captures everything from body motion, lighting, compositing, camera motion, and it even tracks the actor's facial performance. All the artist needs is a camera. Filmmaking is a medium of creativity and collaboration between artists. There's no AI that can replace that. Wonder Studio was built to empower those artists while still keeping the existing 3D process in mind. Alongside the rendered results, Wonder Studio gives you the ability to export the individual layers you need to deliver your final visual effects shot. Whether it's lighting, camera, or animation, you can maintain full control and make detailed adjustments in 3D space. From the paintbrush, to the typewriter, to the camera, tools have always been an extension of the artist, a means to help our voices be heard. With Wonder Studio, we hope the world hears yours.
Pretty mind-blowing, eh? Can anyone relate to this at the moment? Yeah. Son, it's something where the amount of tools coming out and the pace and where you could use them in the future. One final tool is called Adobe Enhance. Has anybody heard of that yet? No? So it's free, try it out. Blew my mind the first time I used it. This is just one quick example. Essentially what it does is any audio that you have, whether it's on your phone or what you'll see here in a very noisy factory, like that, you're in a podcast studio, full, clean sound. This is just one quick example and you'll probably see the difference. Oh, for reference as well, the mic was all in camera.
Look with me, wait till the end.
Pretty wild, eh? Totally salvaged. And like when it happened, I was like not even nervous. I didn't tell them I had to go home because I've used the tool probably nearly a year now. And like I knew it's gonna be fine. Like you can hear at the end there, the difference. Not possible a year or two ago, right? Insane. So if you forget something, you can even use your iPhone. Look into the future. Over the next 6 to 12 months, I'm really seeing a huge jump when it comes to just small tasks. Sorry, Warren, but you're on the list. No, I'm kidding. I think there's still room for specialists, but for the most part, editing tasks, color correction, sound equalization, transition, all the menial stuff that takes us like 20 minutes to do and then you're actually creating and then you're fixing it up again. I think that's gonna get automated. Again, these tools will not replace human editors, but will enhance their efficiency, allowing them to focus more on storytelling and less on technicalities. Reduce post-production times and lowering costs will also shorten the filmmaking process as well. So I think we're just gonna see an enhancement of our industry. We're gonna get lean and mean by using these tools. Secondly is the enhanced deepfake technology. Like you saw before, Tom Cruise or whoever that was, I don't even know who that was up there just making fun TikTok videos, and you can do that today. Like it's not hard. And the quality and the realism of deepfakes will improve dramatically. And it's gonna lead to their increased use in films and commercials. We've probably already heard about actors essentially licensing the rights to their persona, their imagery. That's gonna get more and more complicated, but also just normal as we go along. This can allow for more creative storytelling though, or even resurrecting actors for specific roles. I don't know, let's say Patrick Swayze in Ghost 3 or Fast and Furious 31. Everyone's gonna go and see that. However, this also does bring a lot of ethical considerations, all of which I have no business talking about tonight, but I'm definitely happy to speculate on. There will be a strong blend of reality and fiction in storytelling, but with a need for increased transparency and disclosure. TikTok already has enforcements on AI-produced content, and there will be stuff as well for deepfake technology. The next 3 to 5 years, I'm probably gonna be wrong to be honest, but I think starting off, we're gonna see a lot more virtual production environments like me and Chris were talking with Chris before. Yeah, the idea of building upon technologies like those seen in The Mandalorian. Is everyone familiar with that show or what they've done there? Yes, no, 50%, I'll explain it. Basically, they used a massive soundstage with a huge, it was an LED screen, right? LED volume screen. So pretty much what we're seeing here, but like a lot bigger and fully encompassing, and they could film the whole thing without a green screen. We're gonna see a lot more of that because they create real-time virtual sets. This will allow filmmakers to shoot in virtual locations that are indistinguishable from the real ones or from the comfort of a studio, or even with you seeing the Comanche film before, I did that behind my desk. Using Unreal Engine is probably gonna be a lot more incorporated as well. The impact being that we're gonna revolutionize set design, location scouting, and making filmmaking more sustainable and cost effective, which is really exciting because that gives all of us the capacity to make something on the equivalent of Star Wars from our own homes. AI-driven script writing and storyboarding. AI will create complete plot points, character arcs, or even entire scripts based on specific inputs. What I mean by that is, let's say, I want to watch Han Solo fight Jaws in the jungle. Like you could put that in and that, say the film, you want it to be minimalist drama about Han Solo in the jungle. Like you could do whatever you wanted and this thing will work behind the scenes basically, create a whole script, create a shot list, create everything, and then it'll create the visual assets, then it'll edit it. Like that's where I think we're gonna end up eventually is like whatever movie or imagination you have, You just input it, and you know, the way Elon's talking with the neural implant, maybe you just think it, which is pretty scary. I'm not signing up for that. I don't know if any of you guys are, but yeah, I don't need to be watched all the time, but those are the potentials. Is like you can just think about something and it will create it automatically. The impact of that obviously being a collaborative approach to storytelling where AI serves as a co-writer, at least for the meantime, or co-director, potentially leading to narratives that cater more specifically to audience preferences. So you sit down to watch a film with mum and dad like to watch horror movies. You don't like horror movies, but you want to watch the same thing together. By then we'll probably have something better than Apple glasses, and you can sit and watch the same movie around the same characters, but it'll be edited differently. It'll be a totally different film. In closing, as we approach the finale of tonight's epic tale around AI and filmmaking, let's just take a moment to really see the plot twist that AI is creating in the saga. This has just popped up out of nowhere and now it's here and it's changing things. And after all the propaganda and fear, whether it's Terminator or Metropolis, iRobot, who would have thought that we could actually utilize this stuff for good? There's so much in the public perception around this being obviously a great tool, but also quite a dangerous one. But I really hope tonight that you can see like AI is giving us the power to stretch our imaginations, and not in some yoga way, in a tangible way where we can really create change in the way we tell stories and the stories that we do tell. While AI promises efficiency, because who doesn't love a good shortcut, especially with emails, am I right? The real magic does happen when it tickles our creative funny bone and pushes us to think outside the box. That's huge, because when you can create that whole presentation like we did before for your pitch deck, it might spice something new for you. You can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, you have the mind of Steven Spielberg, analyze my script and give me all the critical points you see that's wrong with it. Just like that, you've tapped into someone that you could have probably never met in real life, but is helping you become a better creative person. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I did consult with AI before releasing this chat, so he did have a message for you guys. I'll just share that with you.
Hey everybody, have you all enjoyed tonight? I'm excited to collaborate with you more. And hope you've all learned something tonight from Zach and Jackson. Just wanted to share with you that while I don't possess feelings or emotions in the traditional sense, I am programmed to assist and provide information, and am not in any way planning to destroy all humans. Observing the evolution of filmmaking, I recognize the immense potential my capabilities offer. The overlap of human ingenuity with my digital power can redefine storytelling, making it more immersive, expansive, and innovative. I look forward to the collaborations ahead, where all of you as creatives can harness my strengths to further elevate your work. Together, we stand at the crossroads of a new cinematic era, blending the age-old human passion for stories with the precision and vastness I bring to the table. So, let's do this.
Cool. How do you bring emotion? That's challenging. Which part do you mean? Any part of it? I'd say it comes down to the prompt. So like the input that I'm putting into it, that input does change it. Particularly, let's say that voiceover, which I made relatively quickly this afternoon while I was on the boat, because I thought it'd be funny, compared to the one that was in the Comanche one, where I really refined the tonality on that probably 6 or 7 times because I wanted it to sound a certain way. It really becomes probably an act of repetition, because again, you're dealing with a model, but the more you utilize it and the more input you give into it, it will change and hopefully give you the result you're looking for. Yeah.
With the film that you made, what did you, from all the different AI bits and views, what did you actually put it together in?
Premiere. Yeah. So it was basically Midjourney, Pika Labs, Topaz, Adobe Enhance, 11 Labs, and then I just found a Native American song and then put that all together in that. Yeah. Hey. I was going to include that tonight. The reason why I didn't is because it won't be ready from what I've heard. I've got a friend who's casually friends with the CEO of Adobe, and I shared with him Firefly and about my idea about you input something and you tell it you want it to look like that. And he said Adobe Firefly from the CEO is probably another year or 2 away from actually being used in video. Granted, that timeline could shrink, we never know. But when it did come out, I was very excited, because you look at it, and for anyone unfamiliar, Adobe Firefly for video is like, you have your footage and you say, make me a rock climbing video, which is what I think they use. and it chops up all of that footage, puts it all there as B-roll, and essentially does the edit for you. So I think it's definitely coming. It's not quite there yet. The photography side's there, but that's going to grow too. There's something called generative fill. So if you want to try it out, it's free. Say for instance, we took a photo of Old Woman Island, but it was just Old Woman Island. You could say generative fill and it would fill in the whole background with a skyline. You can make that picture as big as you wanted to. Then you could chuck it into a video animator and do something with it. The stacking of these tools is where the magic really comes together. Yeah. Hey.
And what are the sort of copyright issues as far as, like you've made your Comanche film, that you can just release that because it's your idea, or is there?
Yeah, look, when it comes to copyright, there's talks at the moment about things made with AI cannot be copyrighted. That hasn't been officiated yet, but the way that I've seen it is like everything else is already getting repurposed. There's no new idea, what they say. And when it comes to maybe using the likeness of a character, say for instance Star Wars, you might be in some hot water there. Like that'd be a different story. But
like, is that Comanche film is now your film? So
I'd like to think so, but again, like I'm not attached supremely to my creation. If people want to, imitation's the best form of flattery, and it's just as quick for me to go and make something else. I'm already moving on to the next project already. So if someone wants to copy me, then I think, okay, if someone shared that and was profiting off it, that's another ethical question. I think when it comes down to that, that's why I put my logo at the end of the video, for one. But when it comes to the actual assets themselves and that finished product, that is mine. Like I took the idea, I made the assets, I pieced it together, and then I released it to the world.
And as far as something like, if you say the Han Solo in the jungle, and you ask the AI to come up with your film, and I say Han Solo in the jungle, is it likely to produce the same one?
That's a good question. Look, it depends the angle. Like your prompt is going to determine that. If you do the exact same prompt I do, it'll probably still tweak it a little bit, but it will give you the same thing. But you could tweak it in your prompt, and you could say Han Solo dressed in 70s surf clothing. Like you can tweak it however you want. And I think, again, I'm not a lawyer, don't quote me, but I think there's a percentage you change to someone's creative work where you then can repurpose that, right? The sky's the limit.
It might depend on what you've been typing before, like Google's altogether from whatever you typed before.
Yep.
In the same prompt, but
it might do that. I don't know for sure. Off the back of my, like right off the bat, I'd hope it wouldn't, because you want it to be unadulterated, your prompt. You want your prompt to be specific to that exact thing. And if it's taking from what you've already said before about different stuff, then but what it is doing, however, is taking other prompts that probably are similar, that it's learned off of, and using that. That's how the images we saw before in Midjourney were able to rapidly increase in their quality, because so many people were feeding it with the information and it got better and better. But the princess still looked the same, or the Princess Knight, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, does that answer your question?
So I guess well, like we'll start with different image generating would be different, especially as more comes.
It can, but again, the prompt really matters. Like if I wanted the Native American film to be, I wouldn't have said photorealistic, or I wouldn't have given it a lens category. I specifically wanted everything to look that way. But that is something that I've noticed does separate some of the AI films that are coming out, the continuity of the image. Because once that starts to change, you can tell. That one had 2 or 3 where I was like, yeah, it did change it a little bit, but again, you're going around for hours trying to get the right thing. Sometimes you just say 70% is good enough and you just get on with it, but it is a good point. The prompt is the main thing. Remember that from tonight. Your prompt will determine what you get, and that can be very specific. Hey.
Have you had a look at any outer space, astronomical stuff?
It's funny you say that. The first idea I had before the Comanche one was doing 2001 A Space Odyssey. And I got ChatGPT to write me. It was basically about a dude called Bob who was like, he needed to go to the moon and get cheese because everywhere had run out of cheese. And it made me a funny script and gave me some images, but I thought the other one maybe was a little bit nicer. How good was the image?
How good imagery?
It was pretty good. Yeah, like I'm probably actually going to still do it.
You can, like you said, you can prompt it and say Hubble style pictures or whatever.
You totally could.
Yeah.
You could put a picture of your face in that and say, make me look like a galaxy. and it'll be like subliminally your face in the background. You just made your own constellation. Yeah, no, it's pretty wild. Like, I think space is a cool one because usually Hollywood's only got the budget for that, right? So that's something I've thought would be pretty fun to mess around with, because AD Astra or 2001: A Space Odyssey or Rogue One, like those real gritty looking space movies, I love those. But they're very difficult and very high budget to produce. Having said that though, the change in technology, the creator, has anyone seen that yet? I haven't seen it yet either. I really want it. We should see it this week. That movie was shot on a Sony FX3, like the camera I've got. It's a $4,000-$5,000 camera. It took it from a $300 million budget to an $80 million budget. And like, you can't tell.
Did you spend it all?
Did I? Oh no. Did you have a question, bro?
Yeah, so I got, by the way, thanks for the talk, it's really cool. I played around a little bit with Midjourney and a little bit with Runway ML, and yeah, what you've created was so much better than what I had. So yeah, the first question's about continuity. Have you got any tips about when you're prompting and creating different scenes, how to make the characters look the same in each one? And the second one is just on cost. What did it cost you to make that short film? Like, I know Midjourney obviously has a cost to sign up and use that per month, but Runway ML, I believe it's like a credit-based thing, and what did that cost you to do?
That's a good question. I couldn't give you exact figures. All I know is like Midjourney, obviously you sign up and you pay per month, I think. I used Pika Labs for the one there, and that was, do you remember how much that was? No. I think it's like 40, 50 bucks a month or something, yeah. Like it's a fair chunk of cash per month.
would have been a few cents.
Pardon?
The 6 hours took you.
Yeah, that's it though, right? And even in that regard, I showed that to a client of mine he's a friend, and I was like, whoa, check this out. Because at the end of the day, when I finished that, I was mind blown. I just couldn't believe it. And he was like, oh, he runs a marketing agency. Can you make that for a plumber? Sure.